Welcome back to Cancer Buzz TV. I'm your host, Summer Johnson. Expanding access to clinical trials in the community oncology setting is essential. That's why ACCC partnered with the Association of Clinical Research Professionals, or ACRP, to train community oncology staff and expand oncology clinical trial sites across the country. Kemi Oladipupo from the Toro Cancer Center in New Orleans, Louisiana, participated in the course. Kemi, how would you describe the impact that this course had on your team?
Highly informative, and I think triggering the need to be more mindful of the new guidelines, specifically ICH GCP E6R3.
These sessions got in the weeds on some pretty important issues. What would you say was the most valuable?
Certainly, because we are a cancer center, and obviously, lion's share of our trials involve some or other form of cancer. And so we really appreciated the session that talked about how to conduct an oncology trial and those nuances in the protocol, in exclusion criteria, the things that you would typically see and why you would see them, and how to really pull the principal investigator in as a very uh, a much more active participant in the enrollment process to ensure the safety of our volunteers. It was really very helpful to have that walkthrough.
What's the biggest challenge that you face expanding the research at your small center?
Right off the bat, staffing. It takes a team to run a quote unquote successful clinical trials unit, and success as measured by ensuring that the FDA guidelines are adhered to and institutional policy is adhered to in the conduct of clinical trials. Again, every cancer center, every hospital system has their unique requirements surrounding any activity that would be considered voluntary for participation. So having to kind of um, think about those institutional requirements, what FDA guidelines require, and what our UMC partnering hospital within our LCMC umbrella has already been doing over the years. Also, what our LSU collaborators have been doing to support us. So it just speaks to the need for us to continue to look for opportunities to better ourselves, and no way to do that other than to figure out what you don't know, what resources are not in place, and then work with your partners, your collaborators, organizations such as ACRP to make sure that that information, what is needed, is applied appropriately. And so for us, the first thing was to ensure that we have appropriate staffing. And that also came through in the ACRP, learning that some of the greatest issues with quality come from inadequate staffing. One research coordinator being overloaded with too many trials will ultimately result in not only deviations, but violations of protocol. And then, infringing upon the rights of our volunteers is not something we want to do. And so having enough staff to make sure that there's follow up for our active participants, and that protocol execution is being done in an appropriate way. I think that was one of the top things that we prioritized, and we did welcome a new staff member about 2 months ago now. He's has been an incredible addition to our team. Came with a bucket load of experience, and is contributing every day to our efforts to um, you know, grow our research program and onboard more trials. So I think that's probably the first thing that we we did in terms of an action to improve our participation in research at Turo LCMC.
What are some recruitment strategies that helped ensure equitable access to trials for your patients?
So we approach every patient the same way. We know that diversity is a big point, not only as per new FDA guidance, but we ensure that every participant is given an equal opportunity to hear about the study. So the approach is not to target a certain group of individuals. Really, the approach is to target any individual that looks potentially eligible. If we're dealing with a disease indication that has a higher incidence in a certain demographic, it's kind of hard to control. But what we do to ensure that we have diversity is just to make sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to consider the trial. We do track that very closely for our active trials. If we do see that there is any particular trial that doesn't have a high a diversity quotient, then we start to ask ourselves, okay, what could be the reason? Is it because we have, again, a higher incidence in this particular demographic? Or is it because we just haven't given enough opportunity to everyone? And as we're scrubbing charts, as we're looking at our provider schedules, there's no shortage of diversity. We have a huge African-American population that receives services at LCMC, Asian population, or Hispanic population. So I think it's pretty fair across the board where we're giving everyone that looks potentially eligible an opportunity to consider trial participation.
Thank you, Kemi. You can click on the show notes for more resources on closing the gap in research. Until next time, from the team here at Cancer Buzz TV, thank you for watching.